Hello everybody, welcome back to video number 3, and today I'm going to be talking about the Wuthering Waves anniversary and the drama surrounding it. Now, Wuthering Waves just showed off their anniversary and the events and rewards that are going to be in it. This is their first year anniversary and people have been expecting a lot from this. And I would say they have delivered. They delivered on the content. They showed us many new events coming, 2 amazing skins for both Cheng-Li and Carlotta, 2 of the most popular characters, and many other events, and a future collab with Cyberpunk Edgerunners. But the big miss that everybody's been talking about lately has been the rewards. Now, in the beginning, the live event showed very poor rewards, being only around 30 pulls, which was not good. I mean, everybody can agree that that seems a bit low for a first year anniversary, a big celebration. And the reason 30 pulls in a normal patch would be huge, but in the context of this anniversary patch, not only do you have Zani, one of the most anticipated character in the game, you also have Chacona, another character, and on top of that 12 rerun banners at the same split into 2 different halves, not at the same time. These banners are kind of the big point of contention. If they weren't there, 30 pulls would have seemed okay, a bit low, but not that bad. But in the context of you have 12 banners on top of the 2 that are going, it's not very good. Now, these 12 banners are all pre 2.0 characters, and they have their 50-50. And so, in this patch, you have the opportunity to pull on 14 banners of your choice, and 30 pulls isn't going to do much. And this has been a very big thing of contention. And now, just recently, they released some more rewards, where we're getting 10 Radiant Tides, 10 Lustrous Tides, and 10 Forging Tides. Now, to be honest, only 20 of those are useful, and that is it. The standard pulls, not much is happening with those. And so, 20 more pulls on top of the original. Still, though, this seems pretty low. If you've saved, people have most likely saved for Zani, because we knew she was coming. But we did not know about these 12 more banners. Now, many players will most likely have most of these characters, and will not need to pull them. But still, some people will want to be trying to get some characters they missed, because who knows when they come back. And 50 pulls will get you close to a chance at a 50-50. The 50-50 is another very the 50-50 is another point where it is very controversial, because these are banners that we've already had on an anniversary, and they still have their 50-50 on both halves of their release, because we're getting them in 2 phases. They both have 50-50. A lot of people from leaks have built up expectations for a free 5-star, a free 5-star selector. And even though that these were based on a false base, they still planted in the mind of something more than what is normally given. A banner with a 50-50 we've had those every patch. And so even though any person with common sense would have known that we were not getting a free 5-star, even though every leaker and their mother was talking about it, it still planted the idea in our mind that we would get a chance at a 5-star. And so a lot of people, when they heard about these banners, they were expecting no 50-50, you get one, easy peasy. Well, no, we do have the 50-50 on these banners, and so even if you wanted to pull an old unit, you could still lose your 50-50. I believe that this banner is it's pretty much Kuro digging a hole for themselves. They've dug themselves into a hole with these 12 banners on the pretense of both helping newer players who are coming from Steam release, from all the announcements, hopefully returning players for characters they've missed. The problem is that these banners have dug themselves into a hole, and they are struggling to get out, because it is a lose-lose situation for Kuro. Keep the 50-50 and make money. Players don't like it. Lose the 50-50 and make money, and everybody will now think of every single banner after the anniversary as just wrong, because not only has if the anniversary banners didn't have the 50-50, people would just say, let's just not pull until the second year anniversary, where the banners won't have a 50-50. Or people who have already pulled the characters might feel, lied to and betrayed, because they already pulled these characters on the normal banners, and now all of a sudden the characters that they pulled, and maybe if they lost the 50-50 on and had to pay money, now these characters are on a banner that's guaranteed, and that feels a little disingenuous. And so these 12 banners, I would say, are the biggest problem with the anniversary. If these banners weren't there, I believe that even with the lackluster rewards, it would have been slightly less of a controversy. But now that they're here, and they aren't going away, it puts Kuro in a very hard position. And I believe the only way for them to make up with it is something big. And the thing that they gave, the 30 free pull, technically 20 free pulls with the 10 standard, is something that they've already done before. They've done it multiple times. They've done it a few times, I believe, or maybe just once, but they've already done it before. And so it's nothing new. If they want to justify 12 banners of old characters with a 50-50, they need to do something new. And that could either be in the form of more pulls. Maybe the first half is a free with the old units, the 1.0, the 1.1 units. They could make those guaranteed. They could make the pity less. They could do 60 pity as max, 70 max pity. They could lower the pity. They could make it so that you keep pity for both sides. Say you pull on the first half and you don't get anything. The second half comes around and you keep your pull count. You keep your pity. They could do that just to lessen what feels like greed coming from these banners. Because a lot of players will think that having 12 banners on top of the most popular character and another character, all in an anniversary patch with some pre-mid rewards, feels a bit greedy. And it does make sense, because we as consumers often glorify companies. We expect them to be out for us, out for ourselves. And that's just not true. We have to remember that as a company, as every company in the world, their main focus is the profit. That's just how it works. We may not like it, but that's how it works. And we are the profit. And so they want to make money. That is their goal. We come second. Our feelings come second. Our wallets come first for these companies. And so, as much as we try to, glorify these companies and say, Kuro Game's amazing, Kuro Game's best, we have to remember that they are out here for money. And the best thing we can do is to remember that and say, giving free stuff away is not in their best interest and will only harm them in the long term. And if they're harmed, they'll have to make it up in the future. And that will just lead to a worse game for us and a worse reputation for them. A free 5-star is not a good idea for them. They released Zhang Liao because the game was in a downward spiral back in 1.1. They were struggling, and Zhang Liao saved the game. This is a first year anniversary for them, and the 2.0 patches have been amazing, and so they are on the up and up. They do not need to release a free 5-star because there's no need to. They are not down. They do not need, to compensate the players. But unfortunately, the mistakes of the past have finally caught up with Kuro. All the free stuff that they've given out in pre 2.0 has built up an idea in our mind where now we expect that same compensation. The only problem is all that compensation was justified. They needed to do that to save their game. Now, this compensation is pretty much us just wanting it, and they have no reason to give it. They can give it to have good PR and all that, but unfortunately, a game with bad PR will still rake in millions of dollars. I mean, thou who shall not be named proves that. But back then, the game was literally on its last legs. If they didn't give those out, it would have been a day. Now that being said, it's a first year anniversary, and their competition at the current moment is not exactly in the greatest limelight. This could have been a great chance for them to prove haters wrong and to really sell themselves as the gacha game, the ones that will treat their players properly. Unfortunately, they didn't. They fumbled the ball. They were tackled at the 1-yard line. They failed. And now, all that's done is prove haters right in the fact that Kuro is just like every other company. They're greedy and they just want your money. And so now, it's just a whether they can fix it. And unfortunately, I believe that completely fixing it is off the table. Now all they can do is hope to make it less insulting by giving more stuff. My best bet for them would be, in my opinion, the best thing they could give the players right now. A free 5-star selector for a weapon, a pre 2.0 weapon. And not the standard weapon, the limited weapons. One of those weapons, a free selector, because that makes sense. The weapon banner is guaranteed, and so it's not exactly that they will lose that much money on that side. A free 5-star weapon would be fine. It'd be free 5-star, people could clickbait, good enough. It will satisfy the people who falsely believed that they were going to get a free 5-star. Even if it isn't a character, it's still something. And it will cost them less than giving away a free character. That is the best bet they have. Another thing, more polls is always nice. All that good stuff. Another thing would be an update to mechanics within the game. A big subject of controversy has been flying in the pre 2.0 areas. Because honestly, with 2.0 out, all it's done is make 1.0 areas look worse. And 1.0 areas were already pretty rough in the beginning. The story pre 2.0 is bad. It's rough. Any new player coming in will not have a good time with it, and most people will probably quit before they reach 2.0. And so, without rewriting the entire story, they have to figure out a way to make that manageable, to get people into the good stuff. Flight could help, but it's really hard to implement because it doesn't really make sense. This is a gadget we're given in 2.0. If you just give it to them in the first half, all it does is it makes them hate 1.0 even worse because 1.0 was designed without flight in mind. And not only that, 1.0 areas are it's like a flat space. 2.0 is more vertical. There's a lot more places to go up. 1.0 is very just flat land going forward. It makes sense because it's designed for ground movement. I think the best thing they could do add flight for people who have completed the story. I mean, it doesn't really make sense we can't fly there. If you have gotten to 2.0, you've gotten your glider unlocked through story, make it so that we can fly in 1.0. Make it so that everybody who's completed the entire 1.0 story can fly there. Easy peasy. It makes life better for people who want to explore there, because eventually they'll have to actually add some more stuff to that area. Like, they'll have to add more stuff to 1.0 areas. They can't just forget about it forever, and so just being able to fly there, even after unlocking flight, would make sense. It would be a gift to concurrent players, people who have been continuing playing the game and who are at 2.0. And now another thing I want to talk about are one of the biggest problems that have really, I believe, are the biggest contributor to this controversy: the leaks. Leakers have harmed this anniversary more than the lackluster rewards, the 12 banners, all that. Leaks, people who even read or just glanced at leaks, what leaks have done is they've built up false expectations within players' minds. Even if people knew it wasn't true, it planted the idea in the back of their minds, saying that we were going to get a free 5-star selector, we were going to get a free limited 5-star, we were going to get a free Zani, we were going to get a free weapon, we were going to get all this and all this and all this. All it's done is really just harm the player base, because now they look at this and in their mind they're like, why couldn't we get a free 5-star? Why couldn't we get this? That would have been nice, that would have been great. And these leaks were based on kind of just nothing, just word of mouth, just, oh yeah, I heard from someone somewhere somehow that we were going to get this. It was unbased, unsourced information that spread like wildfire and just completely ruined the expectations of every player, because now everyone's expected too much. And I mean, even I fell for leaks. In one of my previous videos, I was mentioning maybe free Chacona, maybe this, maybe that. I even fell for them, because they were just everywhere. They spread like wildfire. Leaks do nothing but harm the game, people. That's all they do. Whether it be leaks of new characters, leaks of their kits. I mean, Zani's kit has been leaked since the moment 2.0 was out. I've seen leaks everywhere, and all they've done is just harm my opinion of the game and my expectations, because now I expect too much. And we all have to remember, until it's in the game, nothing is concrete, nothing is certain. This is a gacha game. Everything can change last minute. And so until it is implemented into the game, they can change it however they want. And so looking at leaks, expecting things like 2.4 leaks, we aren't even in 2.3, people. 2.4 leaks, none of that is probably going to happen. You can expect it, but all it will do is harm your opinion of the game in the end. Because you will look at this and you will think, we could have had this. It's fantasizing about things that will never happen. And so, to be honest, this patch, the content, I believe, will be good. We won't know until it's in the game. What they've shown for the content, it looks fun, it looks interesting. Hopefully it lives up to that. If it does, that's great. The rewards, they're lackluster. They could be a lot better. Even with the 20 pulls and the 10 standards they've given, they're still pretty rough. The 12 banners are going to be a very high point of discussion when the patch comes out. There will be a lot more drama to come. And another thing to keep in mind is what this drama has done is it has opened up the floodgates for unbased hate from other fans of other games, because they will come and they will use this as a base for their argument of why Kuro Games is bad, why Wuthering Waves will EOS tomorrow, why Wuthering Waves is the worst game, they're greedy. And so just remember that this is not the end of Wuthering Waves. This is a bump in the road, and although it may be a large bump, it is not the cliff. It is not a plummet off a cliff. They can recover from this if they are smart. They made a mistake, and it is a pretty dumb mistake. And we as players have to hold them accountable to this. It is our job to tell them, this is really stupid, you guys are kind of dumb. But we also have to give our feedback. We can't just say, this is really stupid, this is really dumb. We have to give why it is and what they should do, what we want. But we also have to be grounded in our ask. We can't just ask for 20% stock, $1 million, free Zani with free 7 copies of Zani. We have to ask, we have to be reasonable, and we have to ask for what we want. That being said, we have to ask for what we want. And so, hopefully, Kuro Games recovers from this. Unfortunately, this is a mark on their record. And from now on, they will have less wiggle room for any future mistakes. Because if they make another mistake after this, people would be like, oh, I knew it. They screwed up on Anniversary, now they're screwing up here. What a surprise. All this has done is harm them, and it's made them tread on nails now. Because any wrong step, and people are going to be justified in their hate. The haters are going to be justified. But I would like to look at the positive side. Kuro Games, I don't believe they did this intentionally to try to squeeze every last penny out of their players. I believe they just screwed up. And it is fixable. And I hope they do. But until it is, voice your opinions and make yourself heard. But don't be mindless in your words. Use your brain. Be smart. Ask for what you want. And don't just join the hate train. But anyway, those are my opinions. Those are my thoughts. If you guys have anything, leave a comment down below. Discuss, be civil. And I'll see you next time.